George Will has a very powerful piece today about the 1998 Nobel Prize winner in physics, Robert Laughlin. And he writes, the cover of the American Scholar Quarterly carries an impertinent assertion. The Earth doesn't care if you drive a hybrid. I'll tell you, George Will has been really powerful of late. The essay inside is titled, by the way, George Will and I are 2 of 11 Americans who know that the word is not entitled, it's titled. Entitled means deserved, titled means given a title to. The essay inside is titled, What the Earth Knows. What it knows, according to Robert B. Laughlin, co-winner of the 1998 Nobel Prize in Physics, is this. What humans do to and ostensibly for the Earth doesn't matter in the long run, and the long run is what matters to the Earth. Damaging the Earth, Laughlin says, is, quote, easier to imagine than it is to accomplish. There have been mass volcanic explosions, meteor impacts, quote, and all manner of other abuses greater than anything people could inflict, and it's still here, it's a survivor. Buy a hybrid, George Will writes, turn off your air conditioner, unplug your refrigerator, yank your phone charger from the wall socket. Such actions will, quote, leave the end result exactly the same. This, if any piece will drive many Americans out of their minds, it will be this piece. I remember, though, the New York Times, which is one of the leading advocates of environmentalism and environmental responsibility, had an article in its New York Times magazine once on recycling, which basically said it was useless. And by the way, I believed in it. I put all the newspapers in a certain box, but it costs more and it used more energy to recycle than it was worth. We have more trees today than we've ever had in that we know of. More trees today since they've started measuring trees. He writes, by the way, talking about the Earth, how it changes on its own. This statistic really cracked me up. 90 million years ago, there were alligators in the Arctic. That was real global warming, man. I mean, nobody's predicted that. Glaciers in the Himalayas are supposed to be melting, and they're not. But this is mind-blowing. Alligators in the Arctic, yeah. The Earth does what it wants to do, folks. Your carbon dioxide emission, you know what it is doing? It's producing more life, because carbon dioxide is the food of life. Major upset in Delaware. The prediction was that Mike Castle, the Republican representative, I believe there's only one congressman in Delaware because of the small population, Republican, liberal Republican or moderate Republican, and he was defeated by the Tea Party candidate quite handily, Christine O'Donnell. And the Republican Party is not acting responsibly here. There were 2 separate questions. They're entirely separate. Who had a better chance to win is one question. The other question to be asked is, now that someone is nominated, is it not inevitable that the party supports the person? That Mike Castle has announced that he won't support her is just wrong, or proves that he was a Republican in name only, which is called a rhino. I mean, you don't look big if you don't support the candidate of your own party. You don't look big. Now, there are very good and legitimate questions to be asked. Is it worth, in a state that is as liberal as Delaware, nominating a person who is truly conservative? That's a very fair question. It's a tactical question. However, the people of Delaware, the Republicans of Delaware, were offered a very difficult choice in this matter. There is the tactical question of who might win, and the other one of what do we actually believe in. And very little of it was shared by Mike Castle, who, for example, spoke out against, and voted against the surge. That's a pretty big deal for a Republican to have done. Remember, that was initiated under President George W. Bush and was highly successful, to boot. And he voted for cap and trade. one of the most foolish. It is hard to describe the silliness of that and the destructiveness. It was just silly. I wouldn't care. First, you have to believe every single aspect of the global warming scenario. Human carbon emissions are causing unprecedented increases in the Earth's temperature, which will lead to terrible catastrophe all over the world. Sink countries. That's right, they believe that. Maldive Islands will sink. The coastal areas of the United States, Manhattan, will go underwater. I mean, these are the scenarios. And if you don't believe that, then why would we tax energy? But the environmentalists love taxing energy. The left loves it because it brings more equality. Remember, the left is not interested in creating wealth. It is interested in redistributing it. One of the great revelations of my life came about, I would say, in the last 10 years. I used to believe that left and right have the same goals, just different means to achieve them. That is not true. Left and right have separate goals, not just separate means to achieve them. One of the things that I try to do on this show, almost on a daily basis, is explain the difference in those goals. And one is liberty, and the other is equality, and they are in conflict. So that's the story from Delaware. We support now Christine O'Donnell. She's the nominee. And if he had been the nominee, we'd have supported him, because the Democrats are our social democratic party. For those who don't like the word social democrat because it implies socialist, I have only one question, never been answered yet. Name me one area where the American Democratic Party differs from any European social democratic party. That's all. You can't. It's a rhetorical question, I promise you. Now, here's a fascinating story out of France. And that is that they banned yesterday. France risked the wrath. This is from the Wall Street Journal. France bans burqa. France risked the wrath of the Islamic world on Tuesday by banning burqas and other full-body robes worn by some Muslim women in a long-debated move that shows the depth of the concern over the rise of Muslim culture in Europe. The vote passed primarily by the center-right party of President Nicolas Sarkozy, with most opposition Socialist Party lawmakers abstaining. That cracked me up. Where is their courage of conviction? If you're against it, vote no. Abstain? The whole socialist bloc abstained. The law was passed 246-1, with most members of the opposition Socialist Party abstaining. So they were asked, why? Pourquoi vous abstinez? And they said, abstinez, I made up. I knew pourquoi vous. Et ils répondent. Oh, here we go. I can't do it. The moment I lapse into absurdity, he builds on it. So many Socialist Party lawmakers, listen to this. You have to hear this. This is the left-wing mentality par excellence. Many Socialist Party lawmakers have said that they oppose the full-body veils. Okay, so if they oppose it, what's the issue? That they would prefer to do so through dialogue and other means, not legislation. Can you imagine? I mean, somebody has to, Monty Python or somebody has to make up a skit of a French socialist lawmaker encountering a Muslim woman in France wearing a burqa, and through dialogue, having her take it off. Madame, je voudrais dire que c'est un problème. Madam, I would like to say that this is a problem. And she would say, what is a problem, please? What is your problem? We would like to dialogue with you about your burqa. I don't even understand what they're talking about. Who are they going to dialogue with? The husband? Sir, we want you to know that as socialist members of the French Parliament, we would like you to know that we emphatically believe that it is undignified for a human being to be covered from head to toe, because the human is known by his or her face. In fact, there is a saying in Amérique, that he can't show his face in this town means he is so humiliated. Not to show your face is to be humiliated. But it won't work. This is it. Dialogue with the Soviets, dialogue with Al-Qaeda, dialogue with Iran, dialogue with women in burqa. Ah, to be naive. It must be fun to be naive. Maybe it's a happier life. We who are burdened with actually confronting evil, it's a tougher life, maybe. To be on the left is to walk through life and dream. We have the dream.
Some men see things as they are and say why. I dream things that never were and say why not.
Yes, why not dialogue? It never worked. Why not now?